Am I emotionally stable enough to film this video? Probably not, but we're doing it anyway. Hello everybody, my name is Hope and welcome back to my channel. I like musicals, they're a part of my life today. We're going to be talking about Broadway songs that broke me. Now, we here on this channel, we all know we like musicals, okay? And most musicals are pretty heartbreaking. Most of the ones you see behind me don't have a happy ending. Sad ending, type of sad ending. This one, ignore this one and this one. These have nice endings, but we get the point. And there are plenty of songs that just like break me into millions of pieces because I'm a fragile theatre kid. And I'm sure as you clicked on this video, you are too. So we're going to talk about some songs that literally just kill me off. They kill me off because they're just too sad. But before we get into this video, remember that you can like, comment, subscribe, do all of that fun stuff. And you can find me at Hope Wilson E on Instagram and TikTok. That is Hope Wilson with an E. And you can also answer this question. What are the most heartbreaking songs for you? What musical theatre song hits you right in the heart? Because I know there's one, because there's one for all of us, or more than one in my case. But as we're here, let's just get into the video, shall we? So, the first song, What Would I Do, falsettos. You don't understand how I feel about this song. Like, Act 2 of falsettos as a whole, probably crying for like 90% of it. Don't know why I look like I'm about to start crying already. Literally haven't even started this video. But what would I do? If I had stopped crying before this, I'm starting again. If you know the song, you understand. Spoiler for falsettos. But essentially, What Would I Do in the context is a song where Wizza and Marvin, who are like hashtag toxic lovers, but we love them really, are like re-meeting. But Wizza's dead. I don't like accepting this fact because it's just so heartbreaking. And like, guys, there's so much more to this. Like, if you've seen the Andrew Rannells Christian Ball bootleg of falsettos, right? Like the pro shot, throughout the second act, Wizza's t-shirts are getting baggier. And then this one fits because he's in heaven. I'm really hurting my leg I've literally hit my leg like 5 times, but it breaks me. Like, sometimes if I'm really like sad, I'll just watch the first act of falsettos. You know the meme where like the person is like closing the laptop? I close the laptop. I stop watching because I'm too sad to deal with the second act of falsettos. What would I do? Heartbreaking. Okay, next. Also, why did I make this video? I'm just reliving all my musical theatre traumas. It's Little God of My Heart from Miss Saigon. I can't hit anything or I'm just gonna give myself a bruise. If you don't know, Little God of My Heart is the final song in Miss Saigon. Again, many a tear-jerking moment. But if you're not crying at this point, there's something wrong with you. This is, again, spoilers for all the shows I'm going to talk about, really. But they've all been out for a number of years, so you can call it a free pass. End of Miss Saigon, Chris and Kim are reunited. And Kim is like, take your son back to America, give him a good life. That's all I want for him. He says yes. So what does Kim do? She dies. She shoots herself because she doesn't see her life for herself. She's got her son in a safe place, which is all she ever wanted in life. And she's done that. So she dies. You're telling me this girl who we've seen starts at 17, she sees her whole family die, becomes a prostitute, becomes pregnant, has a child, surviving through a war, gives the child away, and then dies? I'm not okay. And Chris and Kim dying in Chris's arms like a little fall of rain in Les Mis, but like 10 times worse because they actually were in love. I'm just gonna move on because my God, heartbreaking. This is one that will probably seem rogue for a lot of people. It is not rogue for me. And I don't mean rogue because it's like a weird one to cry with. I mean rogue because it's just a bit of a rogue show. And that is Some Kind of Time Reprise, Comeback, Dogfight. I actually would say that the most heartbreaking moment I've ever seen in musical theatre comes from Dogfight the Musical. That might seem like a reach. I know they're sad. I know that. But this moment is just, it's a mastery of musical theatre. Nobody gives it the time of day. Essentially, this is not the last song in the show, but it's right at the end. You follow Eddie Birdlace and his 2 best friends, and all their names begin with B. So they're the 3 Bs. And they do like an ugly contest. Who can bring the ugliest person? Whoever does wins a prize. And Eddie brings Rose, but they end up falling in love and stuff like that. But they, throughout the whole thing, are training to be Marines in the Vietnam War. We can see where this is going. Those two numbers kind of like back to back. It kind of happens in between those numbers, but it's also like, I'll explain. Some kind of time reprise. It's basically the three of them about to go off to war. And they're singing their little anthem, and the anthem was so happy before, but it's this meme, the original and the reprise, and the reprise is heartbreaking, and it's because it is. And basically in the show, you know, they're going off to war at this point, and they're like preparing themselves, they're in like the green, like we're ready for it, but it's the anticipation, because the whole song, you're like, they're gonna go to war and someone's gonna die, and I'm not okay with that. You're just waiting for them to go to war, and then the war sequence, it's not on the soundtrack, but the war sequence, like they're singing and then everyone's getting shot and and like they're dropping off one by one, and then Eddie is the only one left. And I'm hitting my knee again, but it's because I have to. So Eddie comes back. The others everyone's dead apart from Eddie. He's the only sole survivor. And he comes back to Rose and has this full-on breakdown. The saddest moment I've ever seen in a musical theatre. Like, oh, Derek Klenner doing it. Like, oh, it hurts my soul. Like, physically. I've never felt that in my life other than when he does this. And Comeback is basically him being like, because they're all kind of young and naive, and he's like, no one, my friends, I want them to come back. I've seen all this stuff, and now what do I do with my life? And it hurts my soul, tears me into pieces. If you've never seen Dogfight, go and do it. I highly recommend. Number 4, kind of like turning it on its head, Parents' Life from Freaky Friday. I can't listen to this song, like I actively can't do it. I have not listened to the song in maybe about 6 years now, not because it's bad, but because it literally hits me. This is the only one on the list that probably isn't followed by some kind of like heartbreaking event. Like, it's essentially Ellie in her mum's body speaking to her younger brother and kind of just giving him like the realism of like, parents lie about things to make us feel better and to hide us from things that might give us hurt. And it's just too real. It's too real. And there's some lines in it that just like hit you in the core, and you're like, oh, this is not nice. It's just too real. It's too real. Because all the others on the list are kind of like fantasy enough, or like you don't relate to the character that closely that it affects you in that way. But my God, so rough. And I might be seeing Freaky Friday in like 2-3 months, and I don't know what I'm gonna do if I have to see it live. I don't know. I don't want to stick around and find out. Okay, again, next one, kind of a rogue musical, Days and Days from Fun Home. Again, probably a couple to choose from. Like Telephone Wire is really like edge of the world. There's a good few that are like so depressing in Fun Home, but Days and Days just gets me. It's Alison's mother, it's her song, and it's basically her singing about how she stayed in this unhealthy marriage for years and years, where she knew that her husband had been cheating on her for years and years with underage boys, which they never really call an issue to, but that's a separate problem, and how she always tried to make everything perfect, and she tried to keep everyone together and happy. And basically she says, the song is basically her speaking to Alison, basically being like, don't do what I did, live your best life. And oh, it's just so depressing. It's so sad. Like, everyone's like edge of the world. Everyone's like tears streaming, breaking down because the father goes in front of a truck, and you know, you can probably guess what happens. But her story, I think, is so much more heartbreaking because she's lost everything because of him, and she thought everything was going to be so perfect when she was young, and that's just not how life has turned out. And it's just really sad. It's really sad. Like, I'm trying not to cry. It's so, like, even think about like the premise of it, it's just so heart-wrenching. Again, Fun Home is one that if you haven't listened to it, I would definitely recommend it, because it's also based off of a true story. It's based off a book which is written by Alison Bechdel, and it was about her life, as far as I'm aware anyway, and that just makes it even more sad. Makes it really, really sad. But yeah, Okay, last one. There had to be a Sondheim on here because this was me after Old Friends. I cried 6 times. And it's Being Alive from Company. Of course, we're talking about Company again. When do I not talk about Company? My favourite show of all time. And like I said, I could have picked multiple Sondheim songs. Not a day goes by. Children will listen. Many choices for like heartbreaking songs. But Being Alive just gets me. I am not 35. Like, I'm quite a bit off of 35, but I relate to Bobby on a spiritual level, and that song is just an absolute perfect encapsulation of the midlife crisis. Like, I had a pre-quarter life crisis. I was having a crisis at like 16, so I get it, and it's just so sad. Also, Sorry Grateful, I feel like, again, one people wouldn't really think about, but I just think that song, that one's not because it's sad, that one's just so beautiful that it makes me sad, because it's just so simple and beautiful and great. But Being Alive, like, Bobby just, like, again, it's not like a heartbreaking moment of the show, like, events wise, like, nothing specific has happened really for you to be like, oh, this is like awful, but it's this point of realization that Bobby doesn't want to be alone anymore, and he's spent like his entire life trying to compensate for the fact that he thinks he can just have like fun flings and he can be in relationships whenever he wants and he's not bothered, but like he actually is bothered, and he realizes that he can't just go off like meaningless relationships anymore, and the one person that he kind of saw himself in like a meaningful relationship with is getting married to someone else. So like it's really sad. And the fact that with Company, with Being Alive, it is the end of the show. Like, it literally ends, and then there's like one small scene about Bobby not showing up for his surprise birthday party, and then that's like the end. So you never really get the resolve. Like, it's not a show with a necessarily happy ending. It's an ending of realization, and that realization is just this song, 5.5 minutes of pure raw suffering. Raul Esparza's Being Alive, my god, my absolute god, what talent beholds in there. But yes, that is my 6 songs that broke me, because they did. They've probably also broken my leg because I've hit it that many times. Go listen to these songs if you want to get your heart broken, because I promise you will. Like I said before, comment down below, what heartbreaking songs do you listen to? What are your favourite musical theatre breakdown songs? Let me know. Please let me know in the comments down below. But if you won't, remember to like, comment, subscribe, do all of that fun stuff. Follow me on my social medias, which is Hope Wilson E on Instagram and TikTok. And like the video if you liked it. I've said this about 3 times, but keep enjoying musicals as much as me. And I'll see you in the next one.